Word to your mother. Hello, my name is Dred. Welcome to another episode of me sitting in the car while my daughter does her lessons. Um, and we hear all the cars going by and all the rain hitting the car because it's November in England and it's awful fucking weather. So welcome to another edition of that, where I sit in a car for 30 minutes or an hour and ramble. Which is my speciality. And you can probably hear my voice. I've not been too well recently. I've been a bit ill. I've had the man flu, which we all know is worse than the normal female flu. I think scientists have actually proven that now. They've actually said, yeah, it is much, much worse. And my wife had the flu. Not the flu, like a cold. My wife had the flu. My brain's all over the place. My wife had a cold. And I had a cold. My cold was obviously worse. So I've had every symptom over the past week or two. I've had the headache, which then moved on to the complete congestion of the nasal passage and the sinuses, completely blocked up, so I couldn't breathe at night. Which then I had a sore throat, so then I couldn't swallow properly. Which has been terrible, on trips to the car parks and that. So that's been awful. And then, then I had the cough, the really bad cough. And then, then the sniffles. Now I've got all the sniffles and shit, and my voice is just coming back. And that's it. It's been awful. So that's been fun. I'm gonna pause the cough with it. So yeah, very fun, very very fun time for me. But I'm alive, I'm good, I'm alright. It just sounds worse than it is probably, and I'm making more of a deal out of it than it probably should be. But yeah, it's been a good time in the markets, hasn't it, everyone? I think everyone's been pretty happy with what we've been doing recently. Seems like everything's had a bit of a move. Bitcoin's obviously had a nice pump since we broke 30k. It's had a great pump since we went bottomed at 15k, didn't it? But everything's looking good at the moment. Now I can look at the charts right now. Aleph Zero's at 146, Beam's at 0.009, which is up quite a bit. The B Bank's looking good at 3.5 cents. Check had a great move up to 10 cents. Went past that actually, once we were about 11 cents. Casper's been doing well since it topped out around 15 cents. Tau, around 250 at the moment. So, stuff's moved nicely. And I think everyone's very much got their bullish hats back on, I don't think anyone is... I think it feels like peak bull sentiment is back, Feels like everyone's like, yep, we're all in agreement. The bull market's back. And now it's just straight road to 100k plus Bitcoin, and we're all going to be rich within a year or two. Feels like that's the consensus. But well, apart from Capo, Capo on Twitter or Telegram, he still thinks 12k is a possibility. And look, I don't blame Capo for being wrong. I don't think the guy's an idiot or anything like that. I think the guy is a good trader. You get things wrong in trading. That's just the way it is. But look, the setup was there for Bitcoin to go down to 12k, right? He was a couple K off, but he stuck to those guns. And I think when you look at the global macro picture, it looks terrible out there. If you look at the data, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And, as far as recessions go, yeah, we're on the verge of one, pretty much, probably in one right now, but unemployment's rising, everything is going the right way for what you would deem a tricky time for the markets. So he's not wrong in that assessment, but the markets, for some reason, are not giving a shit. They're just not giving a shit. And I guess the biggest elephant in the room is liquidity. Global liquidity has been rising. And I think when we actually assess everything, when we can look at all the data points we want, but if global liquidity is rising, risk assets are going to do well. If global liquidity is shrinking, risk assets will do bad. And I think we've been in this interesting period where, especially in the US, we've had this interesting period where, from the Fed's point of view, they're trying to taper things. So they're trying to do quantitative tightening, and they're trying to drain liquidity from the markets. But on the fiscal side, the government is very much pushing liquidity into the markets, and liquidity is rising as a whole. And when you look at global liquidity, with what's happening in China, what's happening in Japan, yeah, man, they're pumping liquidity. So I think when you look at it through that lens, it makes sense. How long does that continue? That's the question. And look, I did a video recently talking about Bitcoin. It's the last video I did, so go check that video out. I'm going to shill that video because this has been the 4th YouTube video I put out in 2 weeks, guys. That's incredible for me. If you understand how much I just am not on top of the YouTube channel, and do not stick to things, you'd be as happy as I am to know that there's 4 videos out in the past 2 weeks. I don't know how I've done it, but I've been keeping on top of it. And I don't care about you go subscribe and like and comment and all that shit. I don't care. Just put some fucking respect on my name, because I'm putting the work in at the moment. So but go check that video out. That's the last video I did. It was about Bitcoin, whether we're in a bull or bear market, and what to look out for. And to keep it simple, go and watch the video, because I put a lot of thoughts into that video about and explain it over a decent amount of time. But in short, 30k has acted as support and resistance for the past couple of years, and below, once we went below 30, it acted as resistance a good bit. We've recently broke through that. We've got up to 38, 39k, whatever that was. And, now, after this amazing run we've been on from 15 to nearly 40k, you would expect some form of a pullback. If we're going to get that pullback, what I would like to see personally, and I know everyone wants to know my opinion, like Warren Buffett wants to know my opinion, Michael Saylor, all of these guys, they all want to know, what does Dredd think? And this is what I think, guys, okay? What I think is, I would like to see that 30k level hold one more time as support. We had it as support previously during the last cycle, when we came back down from the highs, which went back down to 30, and we went back to new all-time highs at 68. But once we came back down and broke that 30k level, we went much lower. Since then, it acted as resistance a few times. Obviously, I don't have the chart in front of me, but I think it would be very healthy if we came back down to that level. It's around 30 to 32k. It's a little zone. I think if we can retest that level and then make, I think it would be very healthy. And then, obviously, we then have our next leg up. We push on to 40, 45. Who knows what happens after that? But I believe that would be very, very healthy for us to do. Obviously, if we break that level, then that's a different story. If we break that level and then that level once more becomes resistance, then that's not good at all, in my opinion. And I think that 30k level, whether we can hold that 30k level and bounce off and use it as support once more, and really cement it as the base, then, my opinion is, yeah, why wouldn't we be in a bull market right now? It would show incredible strength to do so, after such a strong move, to then use that as support and then bounce off that. Great strength. And I would think, yeah, it'd give me the confidence to say, yeah, we're in a bull market. And we're in somewhat of a bull cycle now, but not the bull cycle. But if we was to lose that level and then use it would be seen as resistance, we're probably heading lower. And I'm not going to agree with Capo and say, yeah, we're going down to 12k. But if we was to lose that level, then we're heading lower. There's no two ways about it. And this might have just been one big bear rally, bear market rally, because those rallies are brutal. They're vicious and violent, and they move hard, and it tricks people into thinking, "Fuck, we're in a bull market," which is the exact sentiment we're in right now. And then it rips the other way, and it's just a continuation of the bear market. So it's not something that I'm expecting to happen. But it's something that I wouldn't be surprised if it did, if that makes sense. But no, I think as long as we keep showing this strength, I have my bull hat on. Once the data and the chart starts telling me differently, once the price action starts telling me differently, I might take that hat off and I might put my bear hat on and start playing defensive. That's the whole thing with bear markets and I wouldn't say markets. When it's bearish sentiment and bullish sentiment, and when market structure is telling you a certain thing, you have to learn to be aggressive and defensive. When things are bullish, you're aggressive. Okay, it's the time to get aggressive. It's time to start buying. It's you buy on the dips and you hold, right? You get aggressive. When it's bearish, when there's a bearish structure, bearish sentiment, we're making lower lows and we're making lower highs. That's the time to get defensive. You want to hold a lot of cash. You don't want to be in positions as much. If you're in positions, you sell the rallies and then you're out the market. That's kind of how defensive and aggressiveness, and you have to kind of play both sides depending on what the market's telling you, because a lot of people just kind of sit in positions and are just happy to do so because they're not really listening to the market. The market is telling you a certain thing. The market is always right. You can have an opinion on something, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. The market is always right, and the market will humble you if you're not listening to it. That's just what I believe. My opinion was at the lows around 15k. My opinion was we're going lower. Like I had the opinion we was going to hit between 11 14k. That was my opinion. We didn't get there. We had a very, very strong bounce off of that bottom. And since then, we had a very bullish sentiment re-enter the market. Price action was telling you one thing. And my opinion was we was going lower, but the market was telling me otherwise. So instead of me listening to myself and just my thoughts and hoping that I'm right, because it is just an opinion, I decided to stick my toes back in. And it was the best decision I made, because I have made some great gains recently. I know a lot of people have. But if I just listened to myself or listened to others who were bearish, then I would have missed out on that whole move. And I believe that's what Capo's doing, But if you listen to the market is always telling you one thing or the other. You have to listen to it and you have to respect that. So you can have an opinion on it, but that you shouldn't act solely on that. You have to assess everything. So that's just kind of how I see that. I don't know how we got onto that, but this is the ramble, right? This is the ramble. I'm going to have a quick swig of my water. So I'm going to pause and then swig. And to you, it'll seem like a second. But to me, it'll be a little bit longer. See? I told you. Like a second. I was like a bam. And we're back. So yeah. So I've been conscious of the fact that, things have been very, I want to say rewarding recently, right? Because I feel like, but me personally, I'm in a really good place in terms of like where I'm at in many ways, like I'm in a good place, like mentally, I'm in a good place, like professionally, I'm in a good place from like how I feel like my skills translate to investing and what I've learned over the years, and the content I'm putting out, or the kind of educational pieces I'm doing around certain things. And I feel good about all of it at the moment. And maybe that's just because, green markets make you feel better. I don't know. But I feel very good at the moment, and I've been doing a lot of reflecting on past stuff, and it's made me think about, my journey, and and what I've been able to achieve, I guess, in a certain way, because my um my journey, I guess, I know there's a lot of people come to my account now, and they see, um you know someone who has a lot of followers, and has been in the space a while, and I guess because they're newcomers, they would perceive me as to be someone who's a bit more of a veteran, you know what I mean, and or an OG kind of thing. But that's not the case. There's people who got into the space in 2013 who I look at as OGs, but it seems like the new crowd now look at people who got into like 2017 and see them as OGs, which is strange to me. But no, like it's weird to me, right? Because I I'm in a position. I did a post recently where I said about, the first time that I made money, I paid my mortgage off, and then the second time I made money, I bought some property, and I've never used that money to flash the cash, right? And it's always been a case of like, you know, if from the outside looking in, like I have friends who know I invest, who know that's what I do, but I think to them they wouldn't even know that we've done well, we've been successful, and we have been successful. But I think to everyone else from the outside looking in, no one would even realize, because nothing has really changed. I still live in the same house. I still drive the same car. I don't dress any more extravagantly than I did. I don't buy better looking stuff, like more flamboyant stuff. I just buy better quality stuff. So it might just be a white t-shirt, but it's just better quality now than going to Primark and buying a t-shirt for £2, right? So it's like nothing's really changed. And like, I think I've never really understood that lifestyle, that whole look at me now kind of lifestyle, the whole, the bling and the cars and all of that shit. It's always been very strange to me. And I have friends who do that. Well, friends, like people I knew, I guess, who did that. And I always felt, you're putting yourself in financial trouble to fund that lifestyle, to have a new watch that's really flashy, or to have like a car that you can't really afford. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's always been about, living within your means. I've always been like that. I've always been a bit frugal in that sense, and that's never changed. I've always been frugal in the mindset that you spend what you can afford, right? Because for years, I got into investing in 2017, right? For years, I struggled, like really struggled, right? Because I had my daughter when I was 20, and we didn't have a lot of money or anything like that. For years and years, we would go into overdrafts, and like this a monthly occurrence, like overdraft after overdraft. You come back out of it, you go back into your overdraft. And it was just a struggle. Everything was a struggle. Like there was no like, flashy shit. There were times where it was just like, you don't go out and do stuff because you got no fucking money in the account, and that money is only there to go on bills. Not to say it was like, I don't want to make it out like we were fucking really poor, like we had to, sleep on the streets or stuff like that. But it got to the point where we didn't really have anywhere to go, so we had to go live with. We were couch hopping, essentially. Well, mattress hopping. My wife's mum had a small 1-bedroom flat, and we would sleep on the mattress in the living room. The mattress would be under her bed, and then we would pull the mattress out at night, put it in the living room, and then me, my wife, and my daughter would all sleep on the mattress. And then in the morning, we'd wake up and we'd put the mattress back under the thing. And at that point, I was trying to trade, right? I was trying to trade, and I was just getting into investing. It was like early 2018, I want to say. and shit just wasn't really working. Like I thought I'd cracked it. I clearly hadn't, and it was hard work, man. Like, it was really hard work. And so we would because we were conscious of the fact that she didn't have a lot of space. We would then go and sleep on mattress in the living room again at my wife's nan's house. So we would go back and forth, and it was tough, and there was a point where I felt like this just isn't working, and there was a point where it all, I lost a bunch of money on trading, and it went wrong, and I had to make the decision, like, do I keep going with this, or do I just go back and get a job, right? And I had to go back to the job that I'd left to do trading and stuff like that. And I got my job back, and it was such a dead ass job. It was fucking awful, guys. Like, it just the most soul crushing job you can imagine. And I had to go back to that. And it was like very demoralizing. And it kind of felt rock bottomish, because I'd lost a bunch of money on trading. My family were trying to rely on me to finance them, and to looking to me to get them out of this mess that we found ourselves in. And I thought I had the answers with trading and investing, and it just kept getting worse. I kept losing money. And then I had to kind of go back to the job, and it was bad money. It wasn't good money to really fund, doing stuff. So I just had to go back and do that. And then I said to myself, okay, I'm going to do the job. And on the hours when I'm not at work, I'm going to try and get better at trading and investing. And that was the hustle for a long time. It was a long time, like a couple of years, like working, getting home, having dinner, spending a little bit of time with my wife and my daughter. My daughter would go to bed, and then I'd spend the whole evening up until like 1, 2 in the morning, just investing, trying to improve my mindset, trying to improve my strategies, trying to improve everything. And researching. And that's when I found Quant in 2018. But yeah, it was that was the hustle for a long time. It was work, spend a little bit of time with my family, and then do all the investing, crypto, go to sleep, get up, go to work. That was it. It was just that was the hustle. And that's why I'm conscious of the fact of, like, that's why I'm very aware of time, right? Because for years and years and years, I had to trade my time in to try and fund this, fund our lives, which wasn't getting us anywhere. Felt like we were stuck in a rut, stuck on a hamster wheel where it was just, you couldn't get off of it. And I was very conscious of the fact that, like, I'm just trading all of my time to do stuff I do not want to do. I do not want to be here at work, working for people who don't give a shit about me, working for people who will just happily trade me in at a second's notice. They'd happily kick me out on the curb, and then I have to go find another job for another employer who also doesn't give a shit about me. And the more work you do is only rewarded with more work, So I was very aware that, like, I'm spending all my time doing shit I don't want to do. And I'm spending none of my time with the people who I want to spend my time with, right? And I was so conscious of that. And I always, the only thing I ever wanted was to spend time with the people I want to spend time with. Because I was just giving up so much of it and doing the shit I just didn't want to do, And it's like, all I want is to spend time with the people I love, man. That's it. So it was never about the money. Like, I'm glad we've done well, and money is just the tool. It's not the goal. But, like, all I wanted was my time back. That's all I wanted. And, like, happily, I'm so happy to say I have that now. And that's all I want for you guys. Trust me. The money helps you, but it's meaningless. It's meaningless. The time back is everything, guys. the money just gives you so much security in your life. That's what the money does. It gives you a lot of security, which is fantastic, right? It means if you get a really bad bill, you can pay it, right? If you, you know, need some quality of life stuffs, you can buy it, right? If you, you know, if you need a new sofa because your sofa's got fucked up, you can buy a new sofa, right? The money is there because it adds a level of security to your lives, which is amazing, right? But the real thing is the time it gives you, because I traded so much of it and I was desperate for that time back with my family. And it is the thing that I wake up every day and I am thankful for. I don't care about the money, man. Like I look at the zeros on the account, and it's great to see, but I don't care, man. I could have no money and get to spend all my time with my family, and I wouldn't give a shit, you know? As long as our basic needs and everyone was happy, I wouldn't give a shit, because that's the thing that really matters in life. It is the thing that matters the most, is the fact that you can have your time to decide what you want to do whenever you want to do it, right? If you have the time and say, look, I want to learn this new hobby. I want to learn how to play the drums. I want to learn how to make a video game. I want to learn how to, you know, become a cinematographer. And you can spend your time learning that stuff, you know? But when you're doing it around, you know, this soulless crushing, you know, line of work that you have to do just to live, and even that's a fucking struggle, then what's the point? Like, what's the point? That's what I kept asking myself. I got to points where I got so low where, like, I remember driving, I finished work and I was hungry. So I drove to a McDonald's and I got a cheeseburger, because my wife and my daughter had gone away for a couple of days. So I was on my own. So there's no reason to really go home. So I went and got a McDonald's and I sat in the car. And I remember sitting in the car park and I just remember thinking, what is the point of all this, man? Like, what is the point of all this? You know, and I was so low and depressed and I was just like, what is the fucking point? And not to say I was at a point where I was like, oh, suicidal, but it was making me feel like I'm working so hard. I'm trying everything and I kept failing at things. And, you know, I'm giving all my time up and I'm unhappy. Everyone's unhappy. And I just kept thinking, what is the point in life? What is the point? Am I going to do this up until I'm like, you know, old? I'm going to be in my fucking 70s and I'm all old and decrepit and all I've done is just worked. And then what? What do I do beyond that point? And then I get to spend time with my family when our bodies are all fucked up. You know, my mind's probably all going at that point. And I just kept thinking, like, fucking hell, like, this is all just pointless. Like, pointless. And it's like, I hope if anyone takes anything away from this, because I know it's a ramble and I apologize, but if anyone takes anything away from this, I urge you to understand the importance of the time that you have and the importance of doing the things you want to do in life, you know? And the money is helpful in that regards. That's why we strive to make more money, because then it allows us to do the things we really want to do in life, you know? And look, if your thing is, I want to buy a Lamborghini and I want to go to a car park and do fucking burnouts, cool. If that's what you want to do, that's your goal, isn't it? I hope you get to do that one day, right? And I hope when you're older, you look back on that and say, yeah, that was fucking awesome and that was worth it. Because I think that's the only point of all of this. The only point of all of this is to say, is to get to a point where you look back on your entire life and you say, that was all fucking worth it. That was worth it. I have no regrets. I did everything. I saw everything I wanted to see. I spent the time with the people I wanted to spend my time with. I did everything I wanted to do. And I'm happy. Because look, death comes for us all, right? So as long as you can look back on your life at that point and say, I did it. I did everything I wanted to do. I'm happy, man. Then that's the goal of life. That's, in my opinion, that's it. If you look back on your life and say, I didn't do any of the stuff I wanted to do, and I didn't get to spend enough time with the people I wanted to, and I didn't get to do all of those things, then you're going to have a life full of regrets, and you're going to, get to that point and probably die an unhappy person, right? So it's like, I think that is the only thing, because you can't take the money with you. The money doesn't matter. The money is the security that I can give to my daughter and hopefully her kids and my family members and stuff like that. The money, like, that gives me a peace of mind knowing that, that can happen. So beyond me, people are secure. That's another thing that I think, like, would be, when you get to that point, to look back and say, I did everything I could do, in that regard. But I think that's the only point in life, man. The only point is, like, to do all the things you want to do and to spend all the time with people you want to spend your time with. Like, this is something that people probably don't know about me, but, like, I'm really into wildlife. Like, I'm really into wildlife. And I like traveling to different countries to see different wildlife. Like, I grew up watching, like, David Attenborough documentaries. I grew up watching all of these animal documentaries and being fascinated by, like, different parts of the world. Like, these are sorts of animals that live in the Amazon or the jungles of Peru, or in the mountains of India or something like that, and you see all these amazing animals, stuff that you would, beyond, this is a lion, this is a zebra, this is an elephant, like, you see all these incredible animals, like Pallas's cats or maned wolves, and just incredible animals. And I grew up watching them thinking, man, wouldn't it be amazing to see that in real life? Wouldn't that be amazing? And that's my goal now. That is my goal, and I have a family member, my wife's dad, so my father-in-law, who's been doing that his whole life. And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. So, like, now, like, to have that time to be able to go to other countries, like, I recently went to Brazil, and we went to see jaguars on the river in the Pantanal. And it was an incredible experience. Like, seeing a jaguar in the flesh was an incredible experience. It was, they're so, like, majestic and powerful and just beautiful, beautiful animals. But I've had that desire to see one of those in the wild since I was a kid. And to finally see one when I'm older, like, that's something that I know that when I'm old, I'm going to look back and go, oh, I'm so glad I did that, man. I'm so glad I saw that. Like, we went to Brazil to see, we went to Rio de Janeiro, we went to the Pantanal, and then we went to Iguazu Falls. And Iguazu Falls is, like, the biggest waterfall systems in the world, right? And they're incredible. Like, they go on for, like, I don't know, I want to say 8 miles. I might be completely wrong there. But they're just like hundreds and hundreds of waterfalls, right? Super impressive, huge, powerful. But we went to the Brazil side. We did it on the Brazil side, and that was great. Like, the Brazil side was very scenic, and the waterfalls, they border 3 countries. So it's Brazil, then you have the water, the rivers, and then you have Argentina, and then you have Paraguay. And they all kind of converge into this point, right? Which is the waterfalls. So when you're on the Brazil side, you look at the waterfalls, but you're actually looking at the waterfalls that are in Argentina, right? So we did that one day. We went to Brazil and we saw the waterfalls, and they were beautiful, amazing experience. The next day, we got driven across to Argentina. So we went to Argentina, and we went to the waterfalls that we were looking at the day before, right? And that experience was something that I was not ready for. It was unbelievable, man. Like, there's a point called the Devil's Throat, and it's where all this water kind of converges, and all of these waterfalls kind of fall off at the same point. And it is you cannot describe what it's like. Like, you can look at a video and look at a picture and be like, wow, that looks impressive. But when you're there, it's like you feel the full force of nature. And we first walked up to it, and I got this lovely video of my daughter walking up to it the first time we saw it, and I was just taken aback. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I've been to like the Grand Canyon and places like that, but I could not believe what I was seeing, man. Like, I got so emotional. Like, I stood there and watched it for like 5-10 minutes, and I was getting so emotional, man. Like, I was tears in my eyes. Everyone around me weren't, but I was like really emotional. And it was an unreal experience, and I recommend doing that to every single person listening to this. If you ever have the chance to go to Iguazu Falls, do it, and make sure you go across to Argentina and do that side. You will not regret it. 100%, you will not regret it. But again, it's something that I know I'm going to get to when I'm old, and I know I'm going to go, I'm so fucking glad I did that, man. I'm so glad I did that. And that's just what life's about. You have to just, you get one shot at this stuff, man. You get one shot at it. You know, who knows what comes after? If you believe in a God, who knows what comes after? If you don't, no one fucking knows. That's the one thing all of us have in common. You know, we all have different beliefs, but no one actually knows what's going to happen after you die. So we have, as long as we're here, we have one shot at this thing. And you want to make sure you spend that time doing the stuff you want to do. Because if you don't, you're going to get to the end of it and regret it. And that's how I see it. So it's like, I really mean it when I say it's not about the money. Like, fuck all that status bullshit. I couldn't give a shit. Like, I don't care. Like, money is just about the security it gives you, and it gives you your time back. And I'm aware that you can't actually get time back, but it's time that you would have traded to do shit you don't want to do, and you get that back. That's why I say you can buy your time back, because you do. You're buying your future time back, right? So it's that was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? Jesus Christ, guys, fuck. That was like 20 minutes of just me ranting about shit. Holy fuck. But yeah, it's I guess we should talk about some projects, right? Unless you enjoy that. Like, let me know if you enjoy like just me going off on one and spouting about life mindset shit, then I will happily do that for hours. So let me know in the comments, I guess. I sounded like a proper YouTuber then, didn't I? Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think. But nah, like it's stuff that I really it's stuff that makes up like my core beliefs, you know. So it's like my fundamentals, I guess. And I think it makes me the person who I am, you know, and it keeps me grounded, I think, you know, and to know what I truly want in life, and you know, money helps, but it's not the thing. And I just hope everyone has that realization. I really do, because it's liberating, you know. But yeah, there's been like, I guess, you know, we should talk about some project stuff, maybe. Stuff's been moving amazingly. And I get the I guess the thing that I've noticed the most, right? Because Bittensor has moved a lot. Bittensor went from $50 to $310 or something, right? So Bittensor moved really hard, and no one was really paying attention to Bittensor back then, right? There were people who invested, obviously, and very early investors, and you know, I've been talking about it since $10. So I'm hoping that people researched it and did their due diligence there, and if people took positions in that, I'm very fucking happy for you. But you know, no one was really talking about it because it wasn't on CoinGecko, it wasn't on CoinMarketCap, wasn't on any big exchanges, and every project is promising a revolutionary idea, right? And this, you know, my project's going to be revolutionary, but none of them really are. But you know, Bittensor, I can honestly say, is 100% revolutionary in its design. and in its vision. So, no one was really paying attention. But since this move higher now, we've had to 300 and we're back down to around 250, everyone's paying attention, right? Everyone is paying attention. So, not only have we got actually listed on CoinGecko, and the first time they listed us, or listed Bittensor, I should say, was during, we listed straight in at like 75 or something like that, right? Which is ridiculous in itself. They took that long. But once CoinGecko listed Bittensor, you now look at the AI section. Bittensor is now the biggest project in the AI section by market capitalization. So there's awareness there. And, the price is like the biggest marketing there can be, right? You can do all the marketing you want on a project, but price will make people pay attention more than anything. So the price rise made everyone pay attention, and now Bittensor is on a lot of people's radars, including institutions. I can't really say more about that, but institutions are paying attention, and you also have exchanges that are paying attention. And there are discussions going on with exchanges behind the scenes because it is all community led. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and exchanges are definitely paying attention. You don't get to top 50. You don't see a project getting to the top 50 and ignore it. So there are a lot of discussions going on behind the scenes, and I would expect in the next couple of months for that to shake out. Have some doors to open, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people are paying attention because of that, and also because of the stuff around OpenAI, right? OpenAI had like the biggest clusterfuck of a week you could ever have. The OpenAI board decided to, and if you don't know, OpenAI are the people who made ChatGPT, and I imagine you've heard of ChatGPT because it's fucking everywhere. It's like the fastest growing product ever. But the board at OpenAI decided to fire Sam Altman, who was the CEO. They said, "Get the fuck out the door, Sam. We don't need you anymore." And he went, and then everyone else who worked at OpenAI went, "Yo, what the fuck did you just do? Like, we want him. Like, he's the guy. He's the OpenAI guy, right?" So OpenAI were then like, "No, fuck him." And then all the employees were saying, "Well, we're going to go then. Like, fuck you. Like, if you're going to fire him, we're all going to go." And there was like 700 employees, and like most of them wanted to leave. And then Microsoft, who bought OpenAI, they were then like, "Okay, we'll start a new company with Sam, and then all the employees can just go to that company." So then the OpenAI would be like a shell of itself. So all the value that OpenAI had built over the years, they essentially demolished it in a weekend. Like their entire valuation just fucking destroyed it in a weekend. So because they lost Sam, they lost all their employees, all their talent, and then you had what was it? I think, and then the board left, and then they rehired Sam Altman. So then, like, it all went back to normal. All that really changed was the board left, but you had this huge clusterfuck of what the hell is going on over the course of a weekend. But I think the thing that really it exposed was if you're going to have such a powerful technology like ChatGPT and eventually, I guess, AGI, then you have a problem if you're going to put it in the hands of people like that, right? Of a company that is run like that, right? If a company can't even handle a situation like that properly, how are they going to handle such a powerful technology if it gets out of control or just in general? How are they going to handle that? And I think it opened the eyes to a lot of people that, you cannot put this sort of power in the hands of centralized actors. You just can't. There has to be a decentralized alternative. And I think it was like the perfect storm because Bittensor's price was rising. Maybe because of this. It wasn't because of that. But like, it definitely helped, because a lot of people were looking for alternatives, and there was an alternative staring them, slapping them in the face. You know, this sort of power cannot be in the hands of the powerful few. It just can't. It just can't. It has to be owned by no one, which means it's owned by everyone, right? They're the same thing, you know? It has to be an open, fair network that everyone can participate in. And I think Constantine really, really impressive, and it kind of opened my mind to the aspect of, you know, by having a digital currency at the center of this network, which is the Tau token, you're essentially tethering the AI to the network, right? So if, you know, let's think of this scenario where, you know, AGI, you know, you have this AI, this sentient AI that decides, like, you know, we're going to go rogue and we're going to destroy the human race, right? If you have that, or not even just that, like if you have an AI that is, its whole existence is through the eyes of one company, and it is to the benefit of that company, so it is to the benefit of OpenAI, then it's going to make decisions that are best for the company. And if it ever goes rogue, then it is all down to that company to, you know, whether they can handle that shit or not. And it's proven over the last couple of weeks that they're going to have trouble doing that, because they can't even handle one fucking process of firing someone properly, right? So the alternative is having a token at the center of it where you can tether the AI to the network, and it is incentive is to the network, right? So the hope is that it will never go rogue, because by doing that, it would destroy the network, and by destroying the network, it would destroy itself, right? So the Tau token acts as that tether, right? So that is already an advantage over centralized networks, right? The fact that you might mitigate that big clusterfuck of a situation where you might destroy humanity, right? So that should be an incentive in itself. That should be a big marketing point. That should be a big advertisement itself. But I think with the rise of what we're seeing with subnets, like we're essentially seeing, you know, I like to think of the subnets as individual projects, and they are already proving that they can rival what individual crypto projects are doing out there at the moment, which is quite crazy when you think about it, right? When you have like compute subnets that will, I don't like the competition with Render. I think like, but if they can have a product that is of the same quality as something like that, then it proves that that one subnet should be worth maybe $1 billion as well, right? My hope is that crypto projects will eventually look at Bittensor and say, okay, we can utilize this big neural network, and it would be within our interest to register a subnet so we can advance our use cases, right? That would be what I would hope. And you're already seeing that. I think Constellation, which is DAG, I think they're looking to register a subnet. I think they might have registered a subnet, so I guess they're going to figure out a use case for or a subnet for around that. So that's what I can see happening. I can see projects starting to register subnets and utilizing this big network. But where's I going with that? Oh no, I've lost it. Projects utilizing the network, and yeah. So these individual these subnets, they allow for the creation of some really amazing products, right? And like these subnets are essentially individual crypto projects. And I think when you put all that together, when you look at what is actually being built on the network already, and we've only opened it up to like 32, and I'm saying like, you know, Bittensor, but you know, when you look at Bittensor already, like there's only 32 subnet slots at the moment, but the stuff that's coming out of it already, when you talk of like data scraping, and you talk of like the text generation, or a multimodality subnet, or image generation, or, you know, fucking compute networks and all of these things, you start noticing that like the quality that is coming out of every subnet is akin to what a crypto project is doing within crypto, right? And when you put the valuations of, and I'm not going to do it now, but if you took all the valuations of what these subnets are doing and what the alternative in crypto is, like the alternative project that is doing it, say it's whether it's like a Filecoin or a Render or anything like that, and you added all those valuations up, you get a pretty incredible valuation, right? And then you tie into the fact of what Caro is doing with the multimodality subnet and the fact that he's creating this essentially a next generation search engine which is called Cybele. And it looks amazing. It looks really, really interesting. And I think they're scraping the entire internet. They're indexing the entire internet. I think it's a couple of times a day. It's like 12 times a day or something like that. Right. So think about that. And that essentially could be a product that could rival Google or Bing or, you know, all these search engines. And these are $1 trillion companies. $1 trillion companies, not billion, $1 trillion. And when the image generation subnet, you know, I don't personally think that the quality of the images are to match Midjourney or Stable Diffusion yet, but they will get there. They will get to that standard of quality. So when they get to that standard of quality, you know, these are also companies that are worth tens of billions of dollars. So when you start to realize that all of these subnets together combined and what is being built on it, and when you look at all of these subnetworks as part of a larger network, all of a sudden the valuations of which you can get to, potential valuations, get astronomical. They get crazy, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. So when you see people who are saying the price went from $50 to $300, great, it's moved a lot, but now I think it's expensive. I think it's overvalued. I think it's expensive. And I'm not someone who thinks it can't pull back. Like, it can absolutely pull back. I don't know where to. I don't care, right? But when I add all of that up, all of that mental gymnastics I just did around valuations and competition and stuff like that, I get to valuations that are fucking crazy, right? And I'm not saying, you know, you take Google's market cap and you take Microsoft's and then you add it all together and you get to this, because that would be insane, right? But when you look at it all as a bigger picture, you realize this network is severely undervalued, right? Not only just now, today, it is severely undervalued in my opinion, but the potential of what this is going to turn into when you're talking about not just 32 subnets, you're talking about hundreds and potentially thousands of them. The valuation that can be put on this network is insanely high. And I do think it is going to be up there with the largest valuations in the space in crypto. I just do. And people can laugh at that. People can think you're crazy. I feel like it is the only thing that makes sense in my head, right? So I don't know where I was going with that or what the point of it was. But I'm also conscious that my daughter's lesson is nearly done. And to be honest, my throat is starting to hurt now. I think I've just set myself back a little bit on the whole bad throat. So I am going to head off. I hope everyone's good. Let me know in the comments whether you enjoy these rants or rambles or discussions, and what you enjoy about them. Because I don't know whether you enjoy me just talking about the projects. I don't know whether you just enjoy me talking about the markets. I don't know whether you enjoy me talking about specific projects. I don't know what you guys enjoy. I enjoy doing all of it. So if it means just catering to one or two subjects and stuff like that, I don't mind. I like talking. So let me know. And let me also know if there's anything specific you want me to talk about. So I could talk about that in a future video as well. Whether it's how to assess projects or do this, that, and the other. So yeah, let me know in the comments, okay? And again, I hope you took some value out of this discussion. It wasn't a waste of your time. I'd feel bad if it was. So I hope everyone has a good day, has a good weekend, has a good week. And yeah, I will speak to you all soon, whether it's here, whether it's online, or whether it's in DMs. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye. 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 Bye.